We're back. Going to line 2, speak to Danny Dumaresque. How you doing, sir?
Hello there. How are you this evening, Pete?
Not bad at all. What's on your mind today?
Well, I wanted to take the opportunity to give you and your listeners an update now on where we are with a state of readiness, I guess, of our generation assets going into the end of the month of September. I mean, there's not many beach days left in this province for this year.
Nope.
So I think it's time for us to have a little look, and I certainly am doing so today with some concern. I knew that there was an issue out there at Hardwoods, but I found out today that there was a fire at the Hardwoods generating station on July the 25th, nearly 7 weeks ago. And, that asset, that's 50 megawatts of power, has certainly not been put back into service. And I must say I'm certainly disappointed that more information has not come to the PUB on what damage was done to knock this system out completely, and what is going to be the cost implications of repairing it and getting it back, if we can get it back in service for the coming December.
This isn't one of those deadline pieces of information, though. Those are all due to the questions that they had regarding the new generation. The fire, is there a deadline on that, the report on that?
No, there's actually, I think there should be a protocol automatically, that if there is a fire at one of the generating stations, in this case 50 megawatts at the Hardwoods turbine, that there should certainly be a report made immediately as to the extent of the outage and what caused it, and what we're looking at in terms of time and money to get it back into operation.
Wait, you're saying that there is no protocol or even time frame?
Right now, as I said, there is only the information that I have been able to get as a result of the updates that are coming into the PUB, which started on the 15th of August, and I got the other one delivered to me today, and this one identifies it only basically as a one line, that a fire at Hardwoods on July the 25th resulted in a forced outage of the entire facility. The return of the unit to serve the people is now their priority, but I certainly believe there should be a greater explanation.
But wait now, as intervener, do you automatically get everything that's coming to the PUB, or are you getting just select stuff and they could have had more than you're privy to?
It's my understanding that I am getting all of the information that they are putting into the PUB concerning the status and the availability of generating assets throughout the province, and certainly that seems to be the case. But in this case, there is no detail as to. It must have been a very substantial fire to force the entire facility to shut down for the past 7 weeks, and I'm certainly surprised that we haven't gotten more information on it. But that's one very serious issue, and certainly I still believe that the reliability of the 7-year-old generator is still up in the air, and even Newfoundland Power in one of the recent reports says that a December startup is ambitious. So if that 100 megawatts is not in place and this 50 megawatts is not in place, I also see Unit 3 is down since the 20th of August by 30 megawatts because of a problem there. I really, this is time is running, and I certainly hope that all of the maintenance has been done, and of course the other big question for people, and certainly as I go about here in St. John's today, I run into people, and of course next month there's going to be a significant rate application coming, and now I'm wondering, in addition to the $120 million for the 100 megawatt turbine, what is going to be the cost of restoring this Hardwoods turbine? Is that going to be added in?
I thought that was included in I think it was something like What was the total percentage that they were looking for?
Well, for the combustion turbine alone, assuming that it stays on budget at $119 million, we're looking at around 2%.
Right.
But now 2% from hydro is going to precipitate a rate application by Newfoundland Power. But people should not be misled that this is only one part of the rate application that's going to come in. They already have indicated there's going to be a significant rate required to be able to cover their cost of the damages that were caused by dark NL and the blackouts, particularly the $10 million of power purchase we had to get from Corner Brook Pulp and Paper, and certainly there were other costs incurred as well with all of the equipment and particularly Sunnyside transformer. That's the $7 or $8 million cost. So there's a lot of costs coming on.
I thought the increase requested was supposed to take care of not only the generation, the $119 million, but other things like hardwoods, etc., other maintenance to the tune of something like $260-something million. No?
No, absolutely not. The 2% that's been talked about is only as a result of the 7-year-old turbine that we bought for around $119 million. Like I said, assuming it stays on budget, that is the 2%. The rate application will be substantially more. And
that's what I thought. I didn't think it was 2%. I thought it was more because it was covering more.
No, it's going to be more than 2% for sure. Yeah. At this point, I can't speculate, and I don't dare to. But I can tell you one thing, that there's going to have to be a debate in this province very soon about where these rates go, because I particularly want to bring the issues of...
Debate or not, I can tell you where it's going. We're all pretty much aware of that.
Well, that hasn't got to be true, see, Pete. This is where I'm coming from. As a result of being closer to this now than I ever was, I see things that are certainly wrong, and there are three particular issues that I'm going to focus on, and I will be opposing any rate increase that comes forward to the PUB this fall. And the reason I will oppose it is because right now some $120 million is being denied from the benefit of ratepayers in this province that can clearly and absolutely be changed by either the PUB or the government of the day. One of them is the revenue from the recall power. We are now getting $30 to $50 million every year from selling that excess power we get from the Upper Churchill. Okay. But every cent of that money, Pete, is going into the coffers of Nalcor, not into the coffer of Hydro.
I get it. Now listen, we're going to have to extend this over the news break if we're going to continue, because we're completely over time. Can you hang on, or would you like to follow up another day?
Well, I would like to conclude, I would. Okay. I don't mind hanging on to explain the other two aspects that will certainly, if adjusted, would mean there would be no rate increase for the next couple of years.
Okay, well, you just hang there. I'll put you on hold. We'll pick this up right after the news.
Thank you.
All right. And we will be back right after this. Hello, Danny Dumaresque is back. Let's continue.
Yes, Pete, I really appreciate the time. This is very important matters. As I said, with a rate application coming for a substantial increase in the rates next month, I certainly will be opposing it, and I want to take this opportunity when I get a chance to be able to have standing at the public hearing to start looking at the issues that will affect the rates, and as a matter of fact, if these changes were made, which I believe they absolutely must, then there's no reason why there should be any increase in the rates for the next 2 or 3 years. And particularly, I'm talking about the revenue. Right now, we are selling excess power from the Upper Churchill, $30 to $50 million net profit a year comes into Newfoundland Hydro, but it passes right on through to Nalcor Energy. It goes into Nalcor's bank account, but my contention is that all of this money should be staying in the hydro bank account so that it will lower the need for a rate increase, and indeed we use to cover some of the cost, including the financing of this turbine we're putting in and the cost of what happened in Dark NL. The second thing that I believe we have not had a proper debate about is the rate of return. When I was in government, and certainly every government, whether they were PC or Liberal, always resisted, even though they always asked. Newfoundland Hydro always came looking for a rate of return that would be the same as the private sector, namely Newfoundland Power, which now is getting somewhere around 8.4%. Mm-hmm. And this works out to, by the way, somewhere around $80 to $90 million a year. Mm-hmm. And this government we have now decided that they were going to allow Newfoundland Hydro now to increase its rate of return from what it traditionally was at 4.5 to nearly double. And that is going to take some $40 million of additional revenue from ratepayers to be able to give them that rate of return. And again, like I said, the money that goes over there to hydro, then the rate of return, the money goes into Nalcor's pot as opposed to hydro. So I believe that that rate of return should be put back to where it always was. So we don't have to go after the ratepayer, because it's not the intention of the Crown Corporation to be a massive profit maker. All we need is to have good, reliable power and be able to cover the cost of maintenance. We don't need to be having these significant profits generated by hydro.
Well, they say they have plans, and some would say that, look, that any money that goes to Nalcor is money that they don't have to get directly from from the coffers from government on an annual basis. And we know that happens all the time. So what difference does it make if it's all being stored or being used by Nalcor to generate more profits down the road that we can avail of at some point? No doubt at some point the government is going to have to start taking some money back from Nalcor, presumably. But so what's the big deal about that?
Well, obviously, it's a major deal. There's going to be a major increase on light bills as a result of what they're doing, and I certainly don't believe that Nalcor is spending the money wisely. I mean, we know what they did by drilling wells, some $30 million gone up in Parsons Pond. We know that they've spent tens of millions of dollars on the work off Labrador and some other seismic work that I don't know if it's their role. And obviously the major one is that they are taking some $800 million of our money to invest in Hebron in an equity share that we may never see our money back. Right now crude oil is down to around $90 a barrel. And Hebron oil, by the way, is not Brent crude. It is not as good as oil, and therefore its price will be closer to the West Texas intermediate price. Mm-hmm. And this is very scary, because if that price is falling like we see it, and if it continues to stay where it is for the next 10 years, for example, which is the projections that I'm looking at, if that's down around $70 a barrel, we may actually come to within a couple of years of depleting that oil field before we even get our money back. This is not $150 a barrel oil anymore. The world has changed. Mm-hmm. So, like I've said many years ago, and I continue to say today, it is absolutely wrong for us to be gambling with our money in the oil business, the equity stake in the offshore oil. It's no other state in the United States, no other province in Canada is gambling its money this way, and we certainly cannot be affording to do it now. The final thing that I think must be
worked out for Norway. I'll just throw that in while we're on the subject. It's worked out for Norway. I'll throw that in while we're on the subject. But in any case, I take your point.
Well, yes, and I acknowledge it's worked out for Norway. They are the rarity.
They're the exception, yeah.
But when you talk about the fiscal hawks and the conservatives in Texas and California and Alberta and all those places that have looked at it and said, no way, we're not going to risk it. And I mean, we're not in a position to take such massive risk we are now in a position where we're having to borrow for current account. We got to actually go and borrow the money to be able to put into this Russian roulette play that we're paying in the offshore oil equity.
All right, well, point taken. Anyway, we got to wrap this up now, Danny, because we're getting...
Yes, I want to conclude by talking about the third point, and this one hasn't gotten any play at all. You know that when we expropriated the exploits generation, somewhere around 120 megawatts of power, you know, we paid for that. The taxpayers of Newfoundland and Labrador paid 100%, somewhere around $150 million. We had to pay a company in Montreal and Newfoundland Power to get back ownership of that generating facilities out there. And but now, as of last year, the government directed Hydro to pay Nalcor 4 cents per kilowatt hour, which is again some $40 million coming off the ratepayers. You know, the bill they pay every month.
So we get to pay for it all again.
So we pay for it all again. So there we have now, if you look at the recall revenue, the rate of return, and the amount we're paying for exploits, which we paid for 100%, is $120 million that's floating out around there now, that if these changes were made and all of that money was to go back into the hydro regulated pot where it absolutely should be, then there'd be no reason why we should be having these major rate increases coming in the next couple of years, and is really going to harm people. I ran into people again today here at the Canadian Tire. You know, were telling me that it is extremely difficult to be able to project the budget, and when you're on such fixed incomes. And as you know, the number of people, seniors and fixed income people in this province is in the tens of thousands, and they haven't got the luxury of being able to allocate another $100 or $120 a month to their light bill.
All right, so it's sort of like internationally, certain countries or trading blocks get poorer countries to pay over and over and over again for infrastructure and certain commodities, etc. You're saying we're in the same boat here. Essentially, we're being taken advantage of and ponying up not once, not twice, but perhaps many different ways.
Oh, there's lots of ways that these things are getting back to the bill every month, and it's time we had a debate to look at how we can peel the onion back in our favor, in the favor of the ratepayers who certainly, I think, deserve a break and not have to look at massive increases in their light bills that are going to be coming before we hit the tsunami in 2018 or whenever Hydro decides to come back and start collecting for that sinkhole of Muskrat Falls.
Do you know what happens when you peel back too many layers of the onion?
You start to cry, yeah.
That's right. All right. Talk to you again.
I'm trying to stop the tears, and
I think we all better get some goggles.
Yes, that's good, Pete. Well, let's keep on plugging at it, and I certainly hope that we'll get a full report on this fire that happened out there in Hardwoods, and we get those assets ready, and we don't have this kind of fiasco we had last year.
All right, Danny, thanks again.
Thanks for your time.
Talk to you again soon.
Bye-bye.